Stadium Golf Center presents Top It Off with Landon Etchings. On today's show, Top It Off goes on location. We'll chat with legendary golf instructor Jim Flick, PGA Tour professional Pat Perez, Operation Game On founder Tony Perez, and we'll have a battle of wounded warriors to see who can break our glass. Now, from the Operation Game On golf tournament at the Morgan Run Golf Course in San Diego, here's your host, Landon Etchings.
Hello and welcome to Top It Off. Today we are on location at Morgan Run Golf Course for the 2012 Operation Game On Golf Classic. And who better to talk to us about Operation Game On than its founder and president, Tony Perez. Tony, thanks for coming to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. This is great.
It's a great venue, great day for some golf. Morgan Run Golf Course, 3 different nines here. Perfect place for a tournament.
Perfect location. Couldn't ask for anything better than Rancho Santa Fe.
Well, before we start talking about the tournament, Tony, let's talk about Operation Game On. You're the founder and president. Tell us about when you started it and the idea about the program.
Well, as you know, I've been the starter for the Buick Invitational, which is now the Farmers Insurance Open, for the past 22 years. And I announced the pros on number 1 South. And I had an idea to have combat injured troops act as starters for the Friday of the week. So we had 4 combat injured troops, 2 double amputees, 1 missing the left arm and 1 missing one other leg. And we had lunch after everybody teed off, and one of the guys asked, I'd like to learn how to play golf. And that's where I got the idea. I said, you don't know how to play golf? I said, no, none of us do. So that gave me the idea to approach several golf manufacturers, and TaylorMade stepped right up to the plate and said, let's do it. So I started with 4 guys, and word got around at the hospital at the Naval Medical Center of San Diego. And now we have 32 guys per week for 40 weeks a year.
40 weeks a year. Now the program itself, it's like an 8-week program. They go through and they get to learn about their golf game, instruction, and get to go to the Kingdom, right, at TaylorMade?
Yeah, we start with 8 weeks of beginner. Then after 8 weeks of lessons and on-course lessons, we take them up to the Kingdom, and they get professionally fitted by the staff there. And Jim Flick gives us 3 hours of his time. He goes up and down the line talking to everybody, and he's a veteran himself.
And not a bad guy there, Jim Flick.
Not a bad guy at all. But he has a great time with them.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then they all get set up at the very end with their own clubs and their own bag and stuff?
Yeah, they get professionally fitted like my son Pat would, and they get their own clubs, they get shoes, they get shirts, all the apparel. That's sponsored by National University. And then another 8 weeks of intermediate lessons.
Now you say your son Pat, PGA Tour player Pat Perez.
That's correct.
Good player, good player.
Absolutely, he had a pretty good week. Tied 21st this weekend.
Over at the PGA Championship, yeah. I mean, he had started off well and ended up not having a bad weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Not having a bad weekend. Well, Tony, let's talk about Operation Game On, the future, where it's going. What's the idea?
Well, the whole idea is to try to get the troops back into a somewhat normal life. They come back from Iraq and Afghanistan with severe physical and mental injuries. And golf seems to be an outlet for them. They're out of the hospital, they're in conditions like today, and they just started enjoying it. And golf does something entirely different. As you know, it builds confidence. It gets them out in the open air. They can now go out and just enjoy golf for the rest of their lives.
Well, it's a great program. You've helped a lot of people over the last couple of years. Tell our viewers where we can find out more about Operation Game On.
Well, they can go to www.operationgameon.org. All the information is there. Everything about Wives of Warriors, because we started teaching the wives how to play golf too.
No, that's a great cause. That's great. Well, Tony, thanks for taking the time.
My
sitting
pleasure.
On the couch for you.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Hey, you want to know more about Operation Game On? You can go to operationgameon.org. Now we're going to take a small break. We're going to go to Graham Sterling, who's our on-course reporter, and I believe he's got an interview for us. Graham, what do you got?
All right, thank you, Landon. Joining us now is legendary golf instructor Jim Flick. And Jim, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Graham, I'm really excited to be here.
Now, because of your notoriety, you have a lot of people that want your attention, want your endorsement into their program. How did you decide to do Operation Game On?
Well, no one deserves our attention and our effort to help them enjoy their lives than the fellas in Game On. And it's really been fun to be involved with them and watch them improve their golf games.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what you actually do for the Wounded Warriors.
Well, they come over to TaylorMade to be fit for their golf equipment, and I try to help them find a golf swing that fits their challenges. And I teach them what Mr. Nicholas helped me understand. You use the head of the golf club to play golf, not your body. And it's really fun to help the guys.
Wow, what a thrill that must be. Well, again, Jim, thanks so much for spending some time with us. And Len, we'll go back to you.
Thanks, Graham, for that interview. Now I'm back here with retired Sergeant First Class Jake Keesler. Jake, thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here, Jake. Well, I see we're a double amputee, and you've gone through the Operation Game On program. But before we talk about that, tell us about that day in 2006. What happened?
It was a normal day over in Iraq. You know, we go out on missions every morning. We had a raid that we were going to be doing. It was the 27th of June, 2006, and you know, we do our pre-mission brief and get everything ready to go, and we were making movement to our objective, and IED, encountered an IED on the way.
Now explain an IED for me.
It was an improvised explosive device. They make bombs pretty much out of everything and anything.
And they're all over the ground, and you have no idea where they are as you're traveling?
Deep bury, they put it in the ground and put it on a pressure plate, so it's two pieces of metal that's separated by some like balsa wood, and then when you drive over the top of it, it crushes it, so those metal plates make contact, complete the circuit, and then you get a bang.
And then you get a bang, and then that took you back to Washington, D.C. for a little while there?
Yeah, I actually got to Walter Reed very, very quickly. I got hit on the 27th, and I was at Walter Reed by the 1st of July. So my injuries that I sustained over there pretty much pulverized my lower limbs. So below the knees on both sides were pretty bad shot. But I don't remember. I remember the whole accident. I remember the whole explosion. Probably 15 to 20 minutes afterward, and then they gave me morphine, and I don't remember anything from that point on for 4 days. So
then you come back and you're in D.C., and then how did you get involved with Operation Game On?
I was in D.C. for 18 months doing my therapy, and my prosthetist and myself went out and started playing golf about a year after I got injured, and something I really enjoyed. I found that I could compete at a regular level,
Right.
So when I came out to California, I got restationed. I continued active duty, so I stayed on active duty after I got blown up, and I worked in D.C. for a couple years, and then I moved out here for the last couple to retire.
And then got into Operation Game On, and went through
did.
the 8-week program, and got
Right.
fit, and got the clubs and everything?
Yeah, I was a platoon sergeant over at Balboa for the Wounded Warriors, and Tony Perez's Operation Game On was a program that a lot of the wounded were going to. Sure. I had been wounded, but now I was on active duty, so I was kind of in the wounded side and out of the wounded. It was kind of weird, a gray area. But Tony said, "Yeah, come on, you're a Purple Heart. Come on out, and we'll hook you up." And it's been on from there. Tony says that I made my wife a widow, golf widow.
Now, I got to ask, what is the hardest thing about playing as a double amputee? What is the hardest thing you struggle with in your golf game?
The stance, the terrain. If I don't get on the fairway, and I'm in the terrain, can be pretty difficult.
Pretty difficult. Well, thanks for coming on our show today. We appreciate you talking about your story, but you're not done with the show, because we're going to have you back on. We've got a challenge later in our show where we're going to see if retired Sergeant First Class Jake Keesler can break our Stadium Golf Center glass, and we're going to have an opponent against you. You okay with that?
I'm awesome, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back, and then we'll get into that a little bit later.
Fantastic.
All right, we'll be right back.
To lower your scores, you need to be able to get up and down from around the green. That's why Stadium Golf Center carries the very best in wedges. The Titleist Vokey, Cleveland 588, Ping Answer, and the TaylorMade ATV. So play what the pros play and play your best. Stop by Stadium Golf Center and pick up your fitted wedges today and watch your scores go low.
Welcome back. Now I've got on our couch retired Master Sergeant Davey Lind. Master Sergeant, thanks for coming.
Good morning. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Well, Davey, you're on our show here. You're a double amputee. You're actually one of the first members to go through Operation Game On. But before we talk about that, let's talk about that day in 2007.
Sure. The day of I was on patrol in Iraq, June 14, 2007. I was a platoon sergeant for a reconnaissance platoon out of Camp Pendleton, California. I was the platoon sergeant, as I said, so I was in the trail vehicle, and we were out in kind of bad guy country doing our job, what we make the bucks to do. And my vehicle struck and activated a pressure plate IED. Just as luck would have it, the blast was right underneath me, located right underneath me, and from that blast, I lost both my legs. My right leg I lost. Originally, I lost both legs from below the knee, and then preventing infection and modifications later on and things like that. I'm now my right leg is above the knee, my left leg is below the knee, and
something like 18 surgeries, right? You had to go through.
yeah, I had a bunch of surgeries. A lot of time in the hospital. A couple months back east at Bethesda and Walter Reed, and then I came out to came out to Balboa Naval Medical Center for follow-on treatment and prosthetic care.
And is that where you started with Operation Game On?
Absolutely. Even before I started with Operation Game On, there's a day in the hospital where they come up to you and they say, what's something you did before you want to do again? What's something you've never done that you want to try? Or what are your goals or aspirations? To this day, I don't know why I said it, but I said I wanted to golf. And before I was injured, I had golfed before, and I jokingly say that it was a very dangerous drinking competition, and a golf game would break out because I never had time to give to it. I never had time or money to give to equipment and things like that. So it would be a kind of a hack fest on a Friday, before Thanksgiving or something like that, once a year, every 18 months. I always enjoyed the game, but I just didn't have the time to give to it. So after I was injured, I thought, not thinking about anything that I knew about the game, I thought, this would be an opportunity to get out there and really work on it, right, and see what I had. So
went through that 8-week program, got styled up by TaylorMade, and got the clubs in the bag and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
That's too cool.
It was a great experience.
Well, before we started our segment here, you were talking about your love for the golf game. Let's talk about that. You were saying some really cool stuff.
For me, it's kind of hard to explain unless you've been there in society where you stand out and you look a little different. So, as a double amputee, I wear shorts most places where I go. You get looks, you get stared at, and you get those things go on. Everybody has their challenges they're dealing with, of course, but for me, what happened with golf was I started getting better at it. So I saw improvement. I'm competitive, of course, as anybody is, and I saw improvement. I really enjoyed that improvement, and what I realized right away is it's the only thing it's the only sport I can do for the rest of my life. And it's also the only sport that I can do with, and I'm already set up for the adaptive quality of it. All I have to do is grab my clubs, walk out of the back, grab my clubs out of the back of my truck, walk up to the driving range or jump in the cart. And as soon as I do, then I'm just another golfer out on the golf course. The idea that golf has made a sport for the wealthy and the elite and a game of leisure is, that part is certainly could certainly be true, but for me, it's there's a serenity on the golf course.
Sure, yeah.
There's a natural competition with yourself. There's a cohesion that I have when I'm playing with somebody. Maybe I've just met them. Me and my wife get out there for the day or something like that. You have a lot of qualities that you can take away from the golf course, as well as life lessons that you can teach children.
Right. Well, speaking of competition, we had Sergeant Jake Keesler on earlier, and we had challenged him. We've got our Stadium Golf Center glass here. It's kind of like the big break glass, and he was kind of saying he could beat you and break that glass before you. So we're going to have a little competition here.
All right, okay, we'll see what we can do.
We're going to take a little break. We're going to go to Graham Sterling, our on-course reporter, and he's got an interview right now. But when we come back from Graham, we're going to see your action and take on Jake.
All right,
you ready for that?
I'm ready.
All right, Graham, what you got for us?
All right, thanks a lot, Landon. Here we are with Pat Perez, going from coast to coast to be here today. That says a lot about this event and its importance, and of course the pull of your dad to be here.
Yeah, I'll do anything for him.
So when you play at the level you play at, professional level, and then you see these kids out here wounded playing, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, yeah, man, I think they're just more than happy to be out here than anything. As am I, but especially them, what they've gone through and things they've seen and done, so that I can actually play professionally is amazing. We got me, and I know the other players on tour really can't thank them enough for what they do, and everybody in America should be thanking them every time they see one. It's a great honor to be in this country, and it's because of guys like them that we have what we have.
Excellent. Well, Pat, again, thanks so much for taking the time to be here, spending some time with us, and have a great time out there today.
Well, thank you.
All right, Landon, back to you.
Welcome back. Well, boys, to close out our show, we're going to have a little competition between the two of you. We've got Jake and Davey here. They're going to give it a shot. Winner to break the glass, first one to break the glass, wins a Charger hat. I know you guys are super excited about the Charger hat there. So rapid fire, get on your mats. First one to break the glass, wins Charger hat.
Got it.
Let's see what you got. We're going to have a little wager. We got a little wager on this?
Beer.
Beer? We're going to put a beer on it. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, boys, about 15 yards away, a little punch shot. Feel free to swing it at will. Oh, not bad, Dyer. Pretty close. Oh, not bad, not bad. Hey, there it is. Hey, boys, come on back over here, boys. Way to go. Thanks for playing. Jake, congratulations there. Jake's the big winner. Got you a hat there. Hey, you know what? No one go home the loser. No one go home the loser.
Fan. I can't
Oh, you're not even going to take it. He's not even going to take it. Thanks, boys. Hey, that's our show today. Thanks for watching. And always remember to top it off.